Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the LX Charger's wheel bearings in the back, so stay tuned and we're going to walk you through this. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you would know that we've been doing a lot of work on this LX Charger. One thing that we want to replace now is the wheel bearings because we have a noise in one of our sides. And when you replace wheel bearings, make sure you do them in a pair. Now, make sure you choose a brand that you feel comfortable with. That way you feel comfortable with the quality of the material you're reinstalling. Now, I was actually having a problem uninstalling my old wheel bearings, so I'll be showing you how to get a broken stud slash bolt out without damaging the knuckle or any other suspension parts. Alright, this is what the wheel bearing used to sound like. Now, that heavy grinding was not normal, and we had a few bolt snaps, so we're going to show you what we did with the bolt that snapped on both sides. Now, we did try to bolt extractor first and the torch, but with no luck, it did not come out. As you can see, that's the full size versus the part that broke off. It's actually hardened on this side of the bolt. Despite the one bolt breaking, we still got the wheel bearing off. One of the first things I did was actually remove the corrosion. This way, when we do install the new wheel bearing, that's not going to be a problem. Then when you're done with that, we can actually go back to drilling out, and we have to cut that bolt flush. That way I can actually get a drill bit on there and we can actually start getting this out. Now this is what it looks like all cleaned up, and we're going to remove our sensor first. Now I'm going to pre-soak this with some PB Blaster, this way I can get this bolt off even easier. I recommend putting some cardboard underneath you, this way if it drips down it doesn't stain your floor. Or the driveway. This way, if you have an asphalt driveway, this will probably leave a stain, the oil from the PB Blaster or whatever it's made out of. This is why you can put the cardboard underneath you. Now, it did loosen very easily at this point. Now, I'm just taking it out by hand at this point. Just make sure not to lose the bolt. Now, I'm using the vice grips to loosen this back and forth. And thankfully, that PB Blaster and all that work with the drill also heated up that area a bit, by making it a little easier to get this out. Alright, I cut this nice and flush. This way we can actually get a drill on there in the dead center of it, and we can start removing this bolt that won't come out. Now start with your smallest drill bit you can fit on there without it being too tiny, and this way we can use that as the set in the middle of this bolt. Now take your time with this and use cutting oil. It'll help keep it from overheating. Do not press too hard or the drill bit might snap in there and cause more problems. Now I keep spraying the cutting oil as soon as I see it starting to wear off in that area. This way the drill bit is fully lubricated all the time. You'll see little strands start coming off as you get deeper and deeper with that drill bit, and eventually you're going to hit that hardened head of that bolt, which is going to be the hardest thing to get through. Now I'm using a drill that actually plugs into the wall versus a cordless one because you're going to go through a lot of batteries with this, and you're going to want a steady RPM with it. Now at this point I will show you how deep we are inside that area. That's how much we went through already, and we're hitting that head of that bolt, which is hardened. Now take your time and make sure you step up the drill bit size slowly, and you can keep coring out this area, and then we're going to try and tap it out. Once you get enough out of it, we're going to use our drift pin and we're going to try and tap this out. And the reason why it's actually sliding out is we're hitting the back end of that bolt. And the pin is actually getting caught in that area that we drilled out, allowing us to tap it down. And the corrosion is keeping it stuck in there. But this is what the end result looked like. And as you can see here, the drill bit made it all the way through to the hardened end. Now you can see why the bolt was never going to come out without drilling it out. So I painted my dust shields before I go installing the rest of my brake systems and the actual wheel bearings. I went with a matte high heat paint, and this way it's okay with the brake area. Now it doesn't have to be perfect, we're going to just get it back on there now. Now make sure you put this back on each side correctly. Each side has its own side, I'm pretty sure. Now we're going to get the wheel bearing set and get the new bolts in there. I ordered brand new bolts for those wheel bearings. Now the one side's going to be bigger than the other for the top versus the bottom, so make sure you have your bolt lines pinned down correctly. That way you don't have to pull it back down again. And right now I'm doing the same thing and checking and making sure I have the top side up correctly. Make sure you put those pins back in on the back side too with that dust shield. But before anything, we're going to clean up every single hole. As the test fitment went over okay, we're going to go through with the right correct drill bit size where you're not going to make it any bigger than the stock size, but we had to clean up any corrosion that's inside there as the bolts were going to try and bind as we were trying to put it through. As you can see here, we got those in, and we're going to go on to the next step, which is installing our emergency brake system. Now this is all the original brake hardware, which I actually let soak in some penetrating oil before we actually went into installing this. As you can see here, we got brand new brake shoes though. This way we can install everything correctly. Alright, we're at the final end of everything. We're still trying to get everything put back together. But as you can see here, once it's all together, this is what the final result looks like. Alright, remember to check out some of our merch that's for sale, and remember to like and subscribe. I hope you get through your wheel bearings without snapping any bolts either. But if you do, you now know how to get out of it.